Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses as week 2 here at Belmont at the Big A gets started. Mr. Mom to my left, Greg Wolf and Andy Serling. Greg's a little worn out. 4 days with the kids.
4 days alone with the kids.
Laura's stock even rose more with you. Been hard to do
Please come
that,
home. Please. No, we had a good time. We had a fun day. Last night was a little challenging.
Really? Couldn't agree on what to watch on Netflix?
Temper tantrum.
Really?
Didn't want dinner.
You or the kids?
Yeah, both actually.
All right, well, glad to have you back, and Laura's back tonight, so you've got a little relief.
Well, she's back late tonight, so tomorrow I have relief.
Okay, well, you know.
So don't hold anything against me today.
We don't hold anything against anybody around here. Anyway, looking forward to the week. Got a big pick 6 carryover of over $86,000. Let's start off by heading over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200 and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have the 3 pick 4s, 2, 3, and 6 on today's 9-race card. Pick 4s. Pick 6 carryover will start in race number 6. $86,514. Some challenging cards over the past weekend. See how things work out today. And we're on 1 to 7 covering the action from here in the Little Brown Jug, where they'll be running heats. The last time I saw heats in harness racing, I was at the, they would run, they didn't actually run the same night. They ran qualifying heats for the Meadowlands Pace many years ago, back in the probably 79, 80, whatever Niatros was running. And you can go to the slate if you guys want, by the way, for this TV show. There it is. I saw Niatros try to qualify for the Meadowlands Pace.
Oh, wow.
And I want to say this was right after he went over the rail at Cerro Harness. I don't know if you know about that. His first loss. And he broke at the start, but he still managed to finish 4th and qualify. Then he won the Meadowlands Pace the next week.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he was an amazing, amazing racehorse. I'm sure some people remember the Mighty Niatros. We'll be having that a little bit later on the show today, including a horse that you and I will cover one race. Horses run how many times and won how many times?
I believe over 350 career starts, has won 130 times.
That's impressive.
13-year-old.
That's impressive. Wonder what the ROI is if you bet $2 on him every race.
That's good. We're going to have our research get on that, actually, because we need that for that. Be good for the show.
Get on that. I like that. That's actually like an interesting thought.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anyhow, by the way, we were brought to you by Saratoga Water. We got the Saratoga Water. Well, I got to tell you, they look good, don't they?
This may be empty by the end of this show.
You can drink it. You can. It's this is still. We got still. I'm more of a sparkling guy.
Okay, I'll take these.
No, I'll drink some still here. I mean, still in the morning, sparkling at night. I don't drink.
I always try and make at least one trip to the well for the still water
In the park.
Yeah, I did not make it during the summer.
By
So
Spack?
yeah,
Oh, that's an amazing one. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I usually
people
load
familiar
up
with that.
early on in the meet with jugs.
Well,
and
you
get my
go
water for
there
the
almost
summer.
any time, and there's people filling up jugs and
Yeah.
jugs to do it. It's a very popular spot out by Spack if people aren't familiar with it out in the state park. Race number 1, we'll take a look at Mischief Joke. Last time out, and listen, Mischief Joke eventually at some point is going to break his maiden, but man, has he got a lot of hang in him, Greg.
This too. I mean, you can make the argument. Well, maybe it was a 7 furlongs. I just didn't like the fact too. Hart started to veer out in the stretch a little bit, and now the seconds are starting to accumulate. He is way the horse to beat in this race. There he is veering out. I just thought ripe for a new face to beat him again today.
And you and I have gone to the same new face, a first-time star, the number 6, Mama's Dream, for the same trainer, Mike Maker. Different connections.
Yeah, same barn. I didn't have really anything to go off in terms of workout reports or anything like that. But the Dam did win the debut.
Oh, the Dam was good, Mama
Yeah, by
Teresa. She
8
ran for
lengths.
Dominic Galuccio. She was a very nice runner, ran 90 buyers, won almost $250,000.
Won the Iroquois?
Yeah, she was a good horse. And she's had a couple of 2 to 3 a couple horses that were okay in the dirt.
6 multiple winners she's produced. But, it's a little bit of a guessing game. Obviously, Mischief Joke, cutting back to maybe 6.5, maybe is going to be the difference here. I mean, the experience is going to play
I think the
huge.
7's the reason he lost. How about the other reasons at 5,
Exactly.
at 6? For me, the seconds are piling up. He is the horse to beat, as you say, but we'll take a shot with the first-time star from the same barn. I didn't see anybody else. I was really running a bet, but maybe you want to keep an eye on the board, see if anyone's got. So I was trying to make a case for Officer Derek in the second start, who showed speed, at least in that race we looked at. And I kind of like horses that at least show speed first time out at a big price, so maybe he'll run better in his second start, but still, he'll have to run A lot better.
Yeah, and Perliano showed a little bit of speed in the dirt debut, start number 2 as well. So which of those two, and that horse apparently does have a decent work, which maybe they both go, and that could set it up, and that might be the difference for Mischief Joke. We'll see.
Yeah, he's a new gelding, Perliano. It is a barn that has been awfully cold for quite a while, and I'm kind of waiting to see if they're going to when they're going to wake up. Race number 2.
He's back.
2 is which one? Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Yeah, I am going to have some of this water. Actually, it's a good call by you, Greg. We'll drink the big waters on the desk. What? We can go to race 2, guys. Take your time. You have left Baby Yoda completely out. I've got him third out of respect.
He may not be done. How is it?
It tastes just like Cerdo water.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may not be done. Look, he's still very talented, and that was a tough race he's coming out of. There's just some other up-and-coming runners in this race. It's a very tough race. The lowest earner in this field has earned $251,000. That's Uncle Moonlight.
It's pretty impressive, actually.
I went to. Well, we agree.
We agree here.
Wow.
Let's. You know what? I have the. Can we show the best actor replay first, guys? I'm sorry. We'll show that. We'll show best actor. This is 2 races back. We ran second at Chasing Time. I'm just hoping that Flavien Prat's aggressive and he tries to control the pace.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, this horse is just moving in the right direction, I think, and it seems like as a 4-year-old, there's a lot of upside with him. Numbers-wise, I think he's moving in the right direction as well for Brad Cox. And some of these other horses, like Bold Endeavor, who I do think is probably the best he's been in a long time, right? He just ran the best race he's ever run in 2 years, matching his biggest figure, and he has a huge work coming in.
He was with the track last time. He was outside against the
And he beat Mystic Knight, who we're going to see in race 3, who's not the same Mystic Knight.
That's what I think. I just thought he was cheaper than these horses. And as far as best actor, I'm hoping he's a speed. You look at his last race, and a lot of people say, well, I don't know, it's a speed horse that lost at Ellis. Well, that was not a speed track that day, and the other speed finished 6th. So I was hoping he'd wire the field as well. But I'm scared of Kinetic Sky. And what do you do with Kinetic Sky and Sheriff Bianco coming back just a few days after they ran? They're only coming back in 6 days. I will say Sheriff Bianco didn't break. He broke 3/4 slow in here. And I wanted to show the star of the race. He breaks slow, and right away it puts him behind the 8 ball because the pace wasn't particularly fast in there. And I actually thought he ran reasonably well. I don't know what to make of Kinetic Sky's performance. New York Traffic ran a big race, so maybe that's why. This did not come up a super fast race, oddly. I'm not sure what to make of it. Did these horses run second and third because the race was falling apart at the end? I still believe Kinetic Sky will run reasonably well, but I don't trust them.
Kinetic Sky, you liked him last time.
I liked him a lot last time.
I think he's really good. The 6 days does concern me, and I know this Dutra used to be very good at this.
Yeah. Still a tricky thing to do.
It's very difficult to do. And with Sheriff Bianco, they're kind of all over the place. And what they're running this horse at, I don't know if necessarily this is what he wants to do.
I think a mile is very questionable for him, whereas it's not questionable for Kinetic Sky.
Yeah.
And maybe the mile's better than 6.5 furlongs. And I wonder if Sheriff Bianco, because he lost a race 2 back and he ran well in it, but he was somewhat with the flow of the race and he had everything his own way at a mile and he still got run down, albeit by Dr. Ardito. Baby Yoda, you're just going to go on the basis that the run is sort of over for him? Because I feel like it kind of is.
I mean, that last race is a toss, right?
I don't know. Is any race a toss? I mean, I guess. But even his race 2 back, he's not going to win this race based on his effort 2 back.
No, I agree.
And I know a sloppy sealed track, but he's handled wet tracks before. I don't know.
Yeah. He had a good run. I think in my opinion, we've seen the best of Baby Yoda, and this came up a very tough group, I thought.
I agree. I guess you could say, well, he hasn't been on a dry track since coming back in the last 2 starts. Maybe it'll help him. I don't know how much moisture, though, there was in the track last time out at Charlestown. We'll see.
And doesn't it, I mean, best actor, he seems like there's a lot of upside with this horse. 3rd off the bench, 4-year-old season coming back. He's been in some, not top-tier races, but he was facing some good horses.
He was. He needs to put up or shut up here, though. I mean, he's got to get it done. He lost last time at 6-5. He was 4th at 6-5. That bothers me a little bit. But still, I didn't think he had anything really go his own way there. You mentioned as we go to the 3rd race, Mystic Knight, and we'll take a look at that race that Mystic Knight comes out of where he finished 3rd, and the winner was Bold Endeavor. I don't know, Greg. I know he's got an outside post. The only thing that worries me is a relative lack of pace. But isn't he kind of better than these horses?
I'll get to the horse I went with in a minute.
I got a second, your horse, so it's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a 2-time winner at 1 1/8, but this is nowhere near the same horse that won at that distance. He won it
he was
March
a better
21st,
horse back 2020.
With a 99, or sorry,
19 or
2021,
20.
99 buyer. February 2022 with a 92 buyer on a sloppy seal track. He's not that horse anymore.
No.
There is
Canamoski's are going well, though. Go ahead. There's no pace.
There is no pace, which Classic Mark I still thought was probably a little too cheap for this group.
I agree. I don't, and I also don't like the claim. I don't want horses claim from Linda Rice. The numbers claiming Linda Rice are very tough, and I agree. He's beating up an inferior horse with good trips. I agree. That worries me a little bit with Mystic Knight. I worry a little about the pace. I think Manny will try to get him closer. But looking at Rose's, we'll take a look at Rose's. I think the two back, the win at Parks.
Okay.
Shouldn't he be stalking Classic Mark?
Yeah, he should be. Look, his most recent start, he did not get out good. He's not going to be that far back. Last early in that race, this is not this race, this is the win. But the last race, when he broke slow, went to his knees, and he was last early, he made this 7-wide move going into the turn. And even like leading up to the turn, he was still sort of in the four-path on the backstretch, and he made up a ton of ground. I really like the fact that he made that huge move. He just, numbers-wise, I think, towers over this group, to me anyway. And it's a little strange. As a 7-year-old now, he seems like he's gone to sort of a next level for him. The fact that he's never won at a mile, he never really has been, I'm not going to say he's not been in a mile and an eighth because he won at a mile and a half. That kind of alleviated my concerns that can he handle a mile and an eighth. I know it wasn't the fastest race he's ever run, but at least he beat a group going a longer distance at a mile than a mile.
He's not supposed to have a trouble with a distance. He's looking at Lucky.
Yeah.
The thing that concerns me is this barn reproducing their efforts from out of town in New York. The trainer's 1 for 13 in New York with 1 hitting the board. That bothers me over the last 5 years with a 25-cent ROI. He's 1 for 7 on the dirt with a 47-cent ROI. So I worry that the horses aren't going to, I've got him second. I obviously don't disagree with you at all. I just worry about this horse coming to New York and running as well as he ran out of town.
No, it's valid.
That's my concern.
Too, a horse that beat him last time out, too. The horse has won 7 of his last 11 starts.
Yes.
Boss Logic.
He's in very good form, and those numbers are legit. I mean, the others in there, you've got higher quality third. This barn is going to beat me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look, he just had a couple of numbers. I think he's good right now. The only race where he really didn't show up in his last, 4 or 5 starts was that Grade 3. So against this kind of competition, he's in the mix for me. I don't think he can win, but he's in the mix for second or third.
Porto's a little interesting getting back to a slightly shorter distance. His race 3 back was probably good enough to give him a real chance in this race. You didn't have many where I had him third. I thought he ran well enough 3 back to get it done. I don't know what to do with this barn.
Yeah, and then we both have Classic Mark 4th. I mean, there's a good chance Classic Mark, how easy is he going to get it on a lead with Rosario?
I don't know. It's a good question. Irad's not supposed to let him get far away. I just think he's too cheap to beat these horses, and I hate the trainer change. And it's nothing against the current trainer. I don't particularly like Linda Rice to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, now you look up those numbers, and we've talked about them. Overall, they're like 13% with almost 300 horses claimed from her, 13%, and the ROI is under $1. Those are bad numbers. I don't care who you are. She's tough to claim from.
Is there a chance to cut the cord and Kendrick, try and be a little aggressive?
I don't think he's fast enough. I don't think he's nearly fast enough to run with that horse early. The thing about cut the cord is, I mean, he was one of the overlays of the meet, paying $7.50 last time out. He literally should have paid $4 last time out. I think I think I might have been on the show with you.
I think we were.
And we talked about how ridiculous it was that he was there was an abundance of speed in that race. He got a fast pace. I mean, granted, he got good up in Saratoga, but he also got some pretty good setups up there. I just thought this was a tougher spot. Could he be close? I don't know. Classic Mark is supposed to be controlling.
I'm going to lean pretty heavily on the 5 in my multi-race wagers.
But the pick 6 starts in race number 4. It's $86,514, extra $1 in there. And this is a very, very tricky race. And I'm going to start out by talking about the horse that, on his best effort, is the best horse in the race, and that's Win From Within. In his last race, he lost to Emmanuel. He ran very well. What do you do with this horse? I'm assuming Maddie Oliver's still riding this horse. I mean, it's an odd choice. I don't want to. She's got a lot of live mounts. The one thing I'll say about Maddie is she doesn't get in the way of horses that have speed. She has no problem sending speed horses. And with Midday Image coming out of this race, I know Call Me Harry's quick. isn't this horse faster?
This horse has got to be in front, right?
Yeah.
You get the weight break, an Apprentice who you don't want to take chances and try and navigate and outthink people in this race. Just go.
She goes.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you can say what you want, and I understand, but she is not afraid to go. And I think if in her case, you want a horse to be in front. I never worry. She goes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to do with him.
This horse is a major danger. Yeah, I mean, this is the best horse in the race, right?
He runs his best race. He's the best horse in the race.
Yeah.
I just don't trust him. And the other thing is, Call Me Harry's going in here. Now, he's off the claim for Dutrow, and Dutrow's also got Duke of Hazard, who we'll get to in a second. I don't know if I'm being a sucker with Karamata, who I never really loved. But I'll say something about Karamata as we look at his race last time out, where he ran third. Because he's been in 2 straight races that lacked pace, he was put closer to pace in those races, which muted his closing kick. It's hard to imagine this isn't going to be an honest pace, Greg. And isn't he supposed to be able to sit back and make one run today?
Yeah, there's Win From Within, there's Call Me Harry, there's Main Event, who all want to show speed in this race, so he's going to get a lot better setup. I just felt like, and maybe you're right, it was a result of that.
He's a little tiresome.
He was ready to, Chad Brown had him ready to go, right, in that
Yep.
first start back, and he didn't get it done.
No, I agree. But he lost to a good horse in Jerry the Nipper,
No question.
who had the benefit of having more speed and being more comfortable in the front end. I don't disagree. I'm not in love with this pick. I just had trouble picking anybody else, but I'm dying to hear what you like about Main Event.
So to me, this horse, too, improving 4-year-old that is a multiple stakes winner. He's shown quality throughout whenever he's been on the grass. He's going to have to prove to me, we've talked about the speeds in here. You have the 6, you have the 7 as well.
He's got a rate.
Can John Velasquez, with this horse, prove he can rate? Or, if they do send, I can't imagine he's quicker than the 6.
He can't be in front here.
He does have to prove
He's
that.
not faster than the 6 or 7.
I agree with you.
There's just the only way is if both failed to get out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I imagine John Velasquez realizes I'm going to have to rate today. Now that doesn't mean he can't win, but he's never shown that kind of ability to rate and win this race.
Right. All 3 of his wins. Yeah, they have come basically being on the front end. But blinkers coming off, this horse third off the bench. He can sit, he can relax, and hopefully have that potent kick. The numbers he's run those last 2 races, even though he's 5th place finishes in both those starts, comparable. He's paired up where he looks like he's going to make a move forward with that equipment change too. I think we'll have a little more finish with those 2 horses in front of him and might get a perfect setup if the 6 and the 7 both go.
I'm not knocking anybody in this race. I found this to be a very, very tricky race, and I ended up taking a horse who's probably going to be favored in here. So I have no knock on that. I didn't love this horse in general, but I respect your opinion, and I'm not going to knock anyone in here. Listen, I'm not going to be shocked if Duke of Hazard wins this race.
No, not at
The
all.
problem with Duke of Hazard, as we look at his last races, he's a last time was the time horse. And I actually am annoyed at myself. If I missed that Jimmy Riccio is the one who claimed this horse. If I had noticed that Jimmy Riccio is the one who claimed this horse, I probably would have had this horse last time. I really felt like I screwed up. It was a very sharp claim for Rick Dutrow, and Jimmy owned the horse that Rick won the Albany with, and then a few days later won the King's Bishop with, which is now the Alan Jerkins. We always talk about that when he won in 3 days rest. I forget that horse's name. It was the year of the dead heat in the Travers. You know that Dutrow won.
2012?
Yeah, Dutrow won the King's Bishop with a horse that won the Albany 3 days earlier. And Willie Beeman.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, Willie Beeman, and he was owned by Jimmy Riccio. A problem with him is he just missed the boat last time in a big price, but you're going to be shocked if he wins again?
2 of his last 3 starts, throughout that middle race on that yielding turf, have been there as good as anybody, if not better than anyone in this field. So he would not surprise me at all, and he might get a perfect setup as well.
Yeah, I mean, my only reason I didn't pick him is he won last time, but I'm not against him. This is not an easy race to kick off this pick 6. This is not an easy one to start it out on a tricky card. And I thought the next race, I think the 5th race, and I'm so happy the 5th race stayed together because I think this is just a super fun race. There's so much going on in this race. And I think a lot of people are going to default to the 3 material witness in this race. Greg's copped out with a first-time starter. We'll get to that in a second.
Copped out.
Well, you jumped on a first-time start. I'm kidding. But as far as material witness, I am not betting a horse of a big race at Kentucky Downs. I'm just not doing it.
This is the cop-out horse.
Yeah, this is a cop-out horse. I don't want this horse.
Having said that, she ran pretty good, right?
If she runs this race, she's going to be very tough in this race. I just want to see these Kentucky Downs races repeated. She's coming back in 19 days. The bar that hasn't been doing anything, doing well here at all. And I just, this is very tricky. Listen, all pick sixes revolve around, who you use in other races, where you lean, where you go. This is a race where you want to have a lot of coverage because there's a lot of horses who can win it. It's a very tricky pick six sequence, and it's going to depend on how thin you can go in some other races. Are there races later in the day that you can go thinner because the first race is tough, this race is tough? I'm not going to be surprised with the 3 wins. I think I picked them 5th. I just feel like she's a bad bet in this race.
Yeah, because she's probably
got to be, what, 3-1, 5, 7-2?
She's 7-2. She's going to be much shorter than that, right?
I don't know.
You don't think
There's
so?
12 horses in here. How short a price can she be, right? I guess it depends how much money you only live once to take. Is this a DRF workout horse, or is there something else you like?
No, I just, look, obviously they spent a ton of money on this filly, $475,000 purchase. It's more than ready, top side. Second dam actually was a grade 1 winner on the turf. Magnificent song, if I can get that out.
Trained by Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, it was a 4-time winner on the grass as well. That's actually the first of 3 from this dam actually to make it to the racetrack to run.
That worries me. It also worries me.
What do you mean?
That she's the first foal to make it to the races, and they bought her at a 2-year-old sale last year after she worked a very, very impressive 10 flat. And now it's taking her a year plus to get to the races.
But she made it. She's here.
Yeah, but it just concerns me. They didn't buy her in April for $500,000. They know the pedigree leads turf, so they can't be shocked that she's a turf horse. But they paid $500,000 for her to debut her a year and a half later in a 6-furlong turf race. Something went awry with this horse. That's what. Listen, I've got the horse third. I'm not going to let a horse like this beat me because she has a pedigree to handle it. She had that workout. I'm a little dubious.
It's just a lot of the runners that have run in this spot, though, too, with the exception of Material Witness, you can't really love.
I have a lot of horses I'm interested in this race.
No, but it's just terms of what they've done on the turf to this point. I agree. Your top pick, Isola, the best effort was the sprint, which makes her interesting. Yeah,
it was in Europe. I'll get to her in 1 second. Well, we can get to her now. My feeling with her, I'm sort of between the 9 and 12 in this race. I just put the 9 on top. I had liked her a little bit more. I want to show Isola the first, I think, 3 aces of the last race. And, I mean, very ranked, taken up. This horse is gotten extraordinarily ranked. And you can see she wants to go. Luis Saez is like, I'm afraid, and she's like, look at her. I mean, she's a 6 in between. The head is going. It's not Luis's fault. And going the turn, look at her. She's stumbling around, trying to, figure out what she wants to do. He's got to steady her. Now, I've talked to trainers before that the reason you take a horse like this and you cut them back is the pace is going to be faster. So the hope is that the pace, as it gets faster, they get less rank. You can just let them sort of roll along, and they're not going to run off and be in front in the race. And hopefully the cutback helps the horse get less rank. Because this is a horse that ran well the first time out, has taken a huge amount of money up in Saratoga in 2 starts, and now they're cutting back. And today, unlike the last 2 times, you're going to get a price. And I like the idea of the cutback. I don't really trust her. I'm not sure that she's really that good, but I kind of want to take her. And the 12 to me has a George Weaver look. There's 2 George Weavers. I want to use them both. The one turning back, I know he had that maiden he took from Todd Pletcher on Sunday. I think when you weren't here, that was the 1.16 turf race. First time out was eased. George took over the training, went 6 furlongs in the dirt, or 6.5 in the dirt, whatever it was, and actually ran third, showing a ton of speed. And this horse really has run against some decent horses. Tracy Flick's okay, Holagata's okay, won down at Kentucky Downs. Startup Mentality was a first-time Clarvich Chad Brown horse. And this horse didn't run that badly in those races. So I thought that she was interesting turning back, but the one that really caught my eye is Millie Jean. Remember that turf sprinter that George Weaver won with in Saratoga, the last race, like the last week or so in Saratoga, paid like $50, and then came here and ran a huge race, winning a turf sprint, like a 90-plus buyer, and I think won at the beginning of this year. I can't remember the horse's name, but this just has like this George Weaver look to me, right? The trainer changed to Weaver after the first start, which wasn't very good down in Florida, but then runs it and wants to run Saratoga, decides to give a race after comes off the turf, but really wants to run the turf, now comes in. I just feel like George Weaver has such a history of being a super successful wise guy. I mean, he is one trainer that you really have to tip your cap to, don't you? That guy knows how to get the money at prices.
Yeah, I just, she wants to be forward, right? If she's going to win this race.
I think she's going to be sitting second.
Because of Oolong Hai.
Yeah. Oolong Hai's not impossible, by the way.
No, neither of these two are. I think those two both want to be to the front, and if Millie Jean's that far outside, it's going to make her life very difficult.
She's pretty quick. She's pretty quick. I'm going to try to. I would love to get alive in some multis with the 9 and 12 here because I think both of these horses are interesting at prices.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Queen of the Mud for Graham Motion ran an intriguing race in that first outstart. That was at Delaware, and then Dreaming of Mo, the 8. There's very little turf pedigree.
Oh, I think it's a big story. Is this the one?
This one had a very good work on the grass, apparently.
Well, I got a text this morning. Is it the 5th or 6th race? I think it's the
5th, yeah.
No, I got a text.
About this horse.
Yeah, I got a funny text from somebody this morning suggesting that Carlos Martin loves the horse he's running today. Now, Carlos, who I've known a long time and is a great guy, we know that Carlos Martin is never afraid to share his. This is a $700,000 horse that was purchased by the chairman, Mark Holliday, up in Sarah. Remember when they bought this horse? Did they buy this horse for $700,000 to make its debut sprinting in the turf as a 3-year-old? There's got to be a huge story on this horse, right?
Horse had a very strong drill, and the grass apparently likes it. But
where's the grass? Oh, there it is, 3 back. Oh yeah, Carlos is going to love this horse. The suggestion was that we should get Carlos on the show before the Pick Six to tell everybody how much he loves this horse.
Really, that's strong.
Yes, Carlos has been always fond of his horses, but this is an interesting horse. I'm glad you brought him up. Why don't you put him anywhere in there?
I just thought there were too many other interesting horses in this spot. I even thought the 5 Knicks, who I have 4th in here, cutting back, I thought very interesting. The Dam actually produced Moon Over Miami.
Who was a 6-furlong monster. if they ran them together, right?
Look, this horse just had a strong gate drill on dirt, albeit bullet drill coming out of the gate. So I think this horse maybe has a little bit of ability to be forward. I think this horse could be dangerous here. And you know I love Lescano on the grass.
See, we've narrowed it down to the 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe the 7, definitely the 8, the 9, and the 12. So we've really been very, very helpful in this sequence.
Which means one of those others we're leaving off probably going to win this race.
Yeah, you have to admit, this is a super fun race.
It really is.
I mean, we'll probably get buried betting it, but this is a really fun.
And it starts the late pick 5, and then watch when Material Witness wins at 5-2.
She could, but there's so much other interesting stuff happening here, and these are really fun races. I'm just really glad this race stayed together. Anyway, that's the first half of the card. We'll be back with the late pick 4 after a quick break.
For 50 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Greg. He's Greg. I'm Andy. We're back. Race number 6. I copped out in race number 6.
We both did.
You know, I mean, 6% will show, I think, the last race he ran on my birthday. This race is going to beat these horses. Do I trust him? No, of course you don't trust horses coming off 3-month laughs and dropping. But one thing about this drop, this horse has run for a quarter before. It's not as though this horse has never run this cheaply. And if he runs back to so many of his races, he's just better than these horses.
He towers over this field to me. He does have issues getting out of the gate. He had an issue in this race getting out of the gate. But Daddy knows, too, had won 3 of his last 4 in this spot. He was making up a ton of ground in here. And some of these other horses are just, they're fairly cheap in this spot. He's shown ability against so much better.
Right, it's the drop versus some horses that are moving up. Are you worried at all about the 2B 42 Ace wiring the field? You obviously are not.
I'm worried about everybody in this field, to be honest with you. If it's not 6%, I don't know who it is in here.
I thought it was
trust
42
anybody
Ace.
else.
I thought 42 Ace was clearly the other horse. Guys, the 3 is scratched. My picks in here should actually be 4 2B 9-6. Thanks.
Who was going to be my pick, by the way, the 3?
He just doesn't win.
Yeah.
But this is one race. If I were playing a pick 6, I would lean very heavily, make a 4 an A and the 2B a B. I mean, because somewhere in the sequence you're going to have to narrow it down. You can't. I mean, there's races you want to use too many horses. So I'm 4 2B 9-6. I mean, the 7 Bergie, I get. Lilia Shimango wins. I know she's got just the 2 wins this year. Horses run well. I don't worry about the change with this horse as much as I just thought this was a tougher race. It's what you're talking about. This horse was in for 12-5.
12-5, and it, yes, ran a good race, but you put that up against what 6% it just did last time out. It's not even close. 6% is going to be a heavy favorite.
I would think so. I would think a pretty strong favorite.
6 to 5.
That in a big field.
No.
There's 2 scratches, so it's 8. I think it's 8 betting. It's 8 betting interest. Yeah, you might be right. 7 to 5, pretty short.
I'm with you. I mean,
I would think close to 8 to 5 or 2 to 1. Somewhere.
Yeah, I have Bergie second in here, but that is it's just such cheap races this horse has performed at that I really see a difficult time. If 6% is close to what he produced last time out, he's a lean for me.
I thought Just Call Ray wasn't impossible. He'd be a C for me on some tickets. Just getting IRAD. He ran well enough last time, and at least, like you say, he's not dropping. I mean, he's not moving up. He's actually dropping. So, I mean, I thought Handsome Cat ran well last time in the dirt. I just don't think it's good enough to beat these horses. I was trying to make a case for him. I've got him 4th, but I'm mostly 4 and 2B.
235, if he's going to be effective, does he have to be forward? It seems that way, right?
Yeah, he probably will be forward. Is he a horse that definitely needs the lead? He doesn't need the lead to win. He should be forward. He was so bad last time, and I don't think that rail was necessarily bad. It's hard. It's a tricky one, August 10th. But he was so bad last time, I cannot play him. I just can't take him off that race. Race number 7. I struggled to race number 7, though I ended up with the same horse as you. And part of it is I'm not sure what to do with that exact estimate. And we have to talk about him and Francesco Clemente first. We'll show exact estimates race 2 back. I just thought these were weaker fields. The one thing I'll say about exact estimate, at 4 to 1, I think he's very usable. I don't know that he'll be that price. I guess it depends how much they go for the other Chad Brown runner. But he was on top of a very quick pace last time that fell apart. So I think his last effort is better than it looks. But I also think this win, it's turning out that this race is kind of a stinker. Horses are not running well out of this race. So I have mixed feelings about him.
Yeah, I just didn't think he was as good as some of the others in the spot. And he's going to get way over bet because of his connections.
He's got him 4 to 1. Irad and Chad, and they're really going to go wild for this Euro. Francesco Clemente.
I know nothing about this horse, so
I do.
But oh, you do? Okay.
Okay, his last race, he bolted. He bolted on the turn. So that bothers me right there. Mm-hmm. Second of all, he doesn't break. The Dwelt, they use Dwelt in Europe way differently than we do. We use Dwelt to mean horses break 3 to 5 lengths slow. He broke about a length slow.
Okay.
He doesn't get out of the gate, though. He has trouble getting out of the gate. He does get Lasix, so maybe Peter shipped him over here thinking he needs Lasix. But the other thing about him is he's a little slow, and he might want a lot more distance.
That's the biggest concern of why I didn't put him on top, because it looks like he's probably better going a little bit longer in here. And with those slow starts, he's going to be up against it early in this spot. To me, Daunt, the question marks with Daunt, those last 3 races for him, and I know that last was a grade 1, obviously, grade 2 before that. The last few starts, has he just gotten better as he's gone longer in these starts?
Yeah, he wants more distance. That's the concern with him.
But
that's why I'd struggle with putting him on top.
You look at that mile and an 1/8 race against Portfolio Company.
And he's probably going to be
shows a big,
very tough to beat if he runs that race.
Big
I
finish
agree.
in that race.
Does it bother you, though, that he's got all these seconds? He's got 3 seconds this year. Does that worry you at all?
It's so much dependent on. No, not maybe if it was a dirt race.
I wish this race was a 1 3/8. I would think I would love him, even over the 8.
Yeah, more distance is his friend, no question.
Yeah. No,
So-
I agree. I went to him because I'm not sure he's not. And the other thing with these connections, he's not going to be as short as he should be. So I'm going to take him in here because I don't trust the 8. I don't love the 1. Tie of the C, his Fort Marcy. If he runs this race, he's going to win. And one thing, I think that Katie's going to let him roll here. Pace Protector doesn't have the clear speed. I think Katie's going to do the same thing in this race that she did in the Fort Marcy. My problem is he's been so bad. And I know it was a 1 5/8 last time, but this is a horse who's run okay going longer in the past at times. And I just wonder if he's lost his form. That he ran that big race off the layoff. He doesn't get it again. But are you going to be shocked if he wires the field here?
Not at all. And it's someone who gets horses to wake up, right?
Yeah.
Katie Davis does have that ability. Yeah, this horse is going to be forward. That big race came at this distance as well. No, I would not be shocked. I don't have this horse in my top 4, but I am going to use this horse in multis.
Yeah, the 8 presents a conundrum for me in pick 6 wagering. And once again, it depends how much money you have to spend and where you're going in other races, because he's the kind of horse that I want to kind of let beat me. But if you're clever somewhere else and you have 5 or 6 and you didn't use Francisco Clemente, you're a boob.
Yeah.
So the question is, where do I use him? He's not going to be an A for me. He couldn't be an A for me because I really think so. He becomes a B to a C somewhere, and it just depends where you go in other races. But I could be wrong about Francesco Clemente, but I got a bad feeling. I don't like. He can't break.
Both these 2 from this barn are going to get way over bet. As you said, maybe longer's better for him. I will say that race, that Goodwood race, that probably can win here, right?
It was a 5-horse field. The horse who beat him, I thought it was fair. I mean, my comment was fair at best. Looking the horses up, they're okay, but they're not. This is not really good. I want to ask you about the Freedom Trail because Steve Bick mentioned this horse. So this horse must look okay on the thoroughgraphs, right?
He actually didn't.
Oh, he didn't?
He didn't look that great.
Because I didn't like him and he did. You've got him 3rd.
Yeah, I thought it was a 3-year-old who has potential. He's a stakes winner in the past. He started out and showed some precocity. He's making an equipment change here to try and turn things around. He's freshened up. And some of these other horses, there's a few tosses in this spot. And some of the older horses they're off form, like Tide of the Sea.
Yeah.
I thought both the Chad Brown horses were going to get way over bet.
Neither one of them is that spectacular.
And it's the first time this horse is going to be able to see everything in front of him. And it's just the fact that he's shown some ability. He's been in basically stake after stake after stake.
Blinkers
He
off.
interested me.
Okay.
So,
No, I'm
and
not.
He ran against Kalik. He ran against Najarok, Web Slinger.
1 3/8 last time, probably a little far for him. Listen, I'm open. Listen, there's a world where I could throw an alternate reality at 50 to 1. I wish he had a turf sire because actually the Dam was actually a really good turf horse. But I'm not betting alternations on the turf.
Pancake.
Pancake, yes. Pancake was 3 for 15, 80-something Buyers in the 80s. Produced 1 horse, didn't win the turf, but ran a 79 Buyer and ran 63s in the dirt. This horse is capable of running an 80 Buyer. I'm just saying, I think this horse could actually handle the turf if he had I just can't bet alternations on the turf, but he is a huge bomb. So race number 8, you see, the thing about this pick 6 sequence is I think this is going to be a very, very, very tough sequence because, yeah, there's some horses that are shorter prices along the way. They don't have to win. It's not like the horse you and I picked in the 6th race has to win.
This is one of my favorite races on the card.
I think this card's really fun. It's really
awesome
tough. I may
card.
go 0 for 9, but I think it's a really fun card.
Do you want to start with Big Engine?
Well, no, let's start with your horse. Let's start with Perfect Money.
This was
This is your favorite
Rice.
race, and you copped out with a 14-length winner at 5-2 morning line.
This was Linda Rice.
It's not a Greg Wolf move.
This was Linda Rice trying to stay in the mix, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this
Get that
horse.
replay if we can.
Stakes placed against really good horses. My Boy Tate, what do you think now? The other ones in the mix, and then drops his horse in for State Bred 25 off a 8-month layoff, and just destroys this field. And this was a weird run race too. Lohengrin, is it Lohengrin 2?
Yeah.
Opened up about 8 lengths on the field, and then this horse just destroyed everyone. As
I bet him.
most,
He's the one who's fading out of the picture right
this
now.
was a gift at
My
even
clever
money.
pick. As it turned out, he was. I bet against him.
This was a move to stay in the standings for Linda.
I don't know. Is it? You don't really drop him just to stay in the standings.
Well, they were already out with the horse. Obviously, the horse had earned over $300,000, cost $50. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, but he's also got a hole in him. I mean, he's a horse that runs by appointment only. He ran in
Yeah.
April. He didn't come back till October. Then he's off for 8 more months, and Asmussen, even off that race, still has the horse in for 45. Now, obviously, in this purse, it's $85,000, so he's going to get close to $50,000 if he gets claimed. They walk away with a real profit, so I get it. He's the horse to beat. I just don't trust him. I'm not putting him on top.
Monster number that obviously is in form. He's sound. He's coming back, and if he can reproduce that, he's going to be tough in this
He's
spot.
going to be very tough to beat.
Mariachi, to me,
We have his replay from 2 back. Let's go watch that.
I felt like that was a wasted effort last time out.
It was. They took a shot. I'm not sold on this horse. Kimmel's terrible cutting back in distance. I know he's a sprinter getting back the right distances. I didn't love the way G. Munnings ran after this race. I know that Z-Bar came back to win, but he won an awful turf race at 1-5, and he ran 11 Beyer points lower. I'm skeptical that this figure, I'll put it this way.
He's kind of a one-number horse, too.
The Beyer figure is the same pretty much as Perfect Munnings. It's 2 points lower. Do we really think this race was almost as good as Perfect Munnings' effort last time out?
I don't.
I don't.
No. I do think he has some ability.
Yeah, he does.
But, yeah, I think Perfect Munnings, he's proven it time and time again. That race was not a standalone number for him. He's done it several times in the past.
He has.
And
He's
he came
talented.
and did it off the long layoff.
Did to start his career, he ran
Yeah.
well. No, I get it with him. I don't love this barn. I'm not inclined to want to take him at a short price. I think Radio Red can win. As far as big engine, I got to think that there's going to be at least a little bit of pace in here. And, he was in that weird race last time out. And there is an argument you didn't want to be on the rail that day. It's a discussion point, and I think that being on the rail might have really hurt his chances last time, and he is a horse that likes to run inside of horses. He's run fast enough figures 2 and 3 back to be competitive in this race, and if I feel like the rail was dead last time, I can give him enough of an excuse. He gets back to those races he can win, and it'll be a fair price. So I'm going to give him a shot in this race. I don't fully trust him. What about the 9? You didn't...
Yeah, no, he wouldn't shock me at all. He's got that race 3 back going 6 furlongs that puts him in the mix.
But the concern with him, and I've got him 3rd, is his form maybe dissipating. He might have gotten good and he's just kind of falling apart, right? Today's an important race for him.
That's why I left him out. I just thought there were too many other good horses. I even think don't lose Cruz. That's a horse who
Go
had
ahead.
big ability and might be potentially. That horse is quick too.
Yeah,
Coming
this is
in
a
fresh.
tough spot, man.
It's a very tough spot, but just in terms of pace. But can it last? Taking those blinks off with him, I thought he was an interesting horse to throw into the mix. And I agree with you. Radio Red, he was touted as having some big ability early on.
Yeah, I didn't love his last race. The barn's been a little bit quiet, but he obviously has the ability to be competitive in here. There's a lot of horses. Listen, if Perfect Munnings runs his last race, he's a very likely winner. He's a little tough to trust. He's never been a horse who's been that reliable, right? Big race in Saratoga, comes back, and then he runs okay 3rd. Tougher horses. I just don't totally trust him. He's a tough horse for me to trust.
Pretty good claim though for 25,000, wasn't he?
Feels like it. We'll find out today.
Yeah.
If he gets claimed from wherever he finishes, it was a good claim. If he wins and gets claimed, it was a great claim. And then there's race number 9.
Oh my God.
So then you get to race number 9. You've somehow navigated the first 5 races, and give me a horse. Okay, Screw Loose is the 7-2 morning line favorite. Really? A horse? It's 6 furlong horse going 1 1/16 miles. We're supposed to actually bet this horse. Stretching out in the turf, Mark Hennig's 4 for 60, $1.08 ROI. With maidens, he's 2 for 37. I'm not taking this horse stretching out. You don't have this horse anywhere.
I originally had him 4th. I changed my selections here about 3 or 4 times.
I have him 5th.
I had a tough time in here. I think he's a horse you want coverage in this race big time. I'm probably going to throw him in if I can't afford it.
If I had put $10,000 in this pick 6, I could have him as a C. But I'm not sure for how much
pick
less
5
I could
can
put
throw him
in.
Pick 6 I could not.
This is such a tough sequence.
The 6 horse intrigued me a lot just because the 2 sprints stretching out. I thought that made that horse interesting in here. But I just went back and forth. The 10, the 11. Who do you between those? Zapruder, who do you trust? I wound up trusting.
Zapruder's terrible. I
is.
trust the Zapruder tapes more than I trust the worst Zapruder.
He showed a little bit of finish.
But that race was kind of falling apart, wasn't
it?
it?
And he did save ground all the way throughout.
Yeah, I mean, you've chosen to take the horse that ran 3rd and 4th in that race 1-2. I mean, now you may be right. I'm not. I've got them 2nd and 3rd, so I obviously don't disagree with you particularly. But Zapruder hoping he improves for Joe Sharp, right?
Yes.
But he's excellent to race.
Back on a surface that he wants to be on. I thought the horse actually ran pretty good in that finish. I think Impassable Prince is much preferable, though, to Zapruder in here. That was the turf start for him. He doesn't want to be on dirt. First start for him in 8 months. Horse is sharp early enough to get position in the race. I feel like the 10 and the 11, their last turf starts, they kind of ran similar races.
Here's the 11's last turf start,
These
two back.
2 lone leaders in front of them, they kind of were able to sit and save ground and be right behind them, behind the rest of the pack. They both have the ability to be somewhat forward.
Yeah, he ran okay. I mean, they ran okay. I'll put it this way. The 9, the 10, the 11, they're all horses that, they're probably the 3 most logical horses in this race. I don't have a problem with that. I didn't love this effort from Miles. He had such an easy trip, and he just sort of ran along in place. He lost a horse that got a very good trip to beat him, to be fair, but still. The thing about Udamaro is he's the unexposed horse for me, okay? To me, he's oddly like a Linda Rice second-time starter dropping maiden special weight to maiden claimer because he ran in 2 dirt races after that, like so many horses rained off in Saratoga. But the reality is that Linda wanted him on the turf. And I know, he didn't run well first time out. A lot of Linda horses don't run well first time. And if you watch that race, he ran a little bit in spots in that race. That race is not as bad as it looks.
But even if it was, it's a debut.
It's Linda Rice, though, proved dramatically in their second start. So she's finally getting back to turf, and she's dropping down. So to me, he is the one unknown in this race. And I'm happy to take a shot with him. I don't love him. I just can't find. There's no way I'm going to bet any money on any of the 9 or 11. I would use them in I've got to pick somebody. I'm happy to lose $50 betting on Udamaro. You know what I mean? Because I think it'll be a decent enough price. And it's kind of horse I like to bet. The horse I wanted to bet was Hari, the 14. I think he is super interesting going forward.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he had a bad post even if he got in, and he didn't get in. But I'm going to try Udamaro. I've kind of wanted to bet this horse when he kept getting scratched off the turf, and so finally gets a chance on the turf. And why not take a shot here? Because
there's a good chance this could carry again.
I mean, this is a tough sequence, man.
It's fun. That's a great card today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really, really fun card. It's a super competitive races. It feels like the opportunity is on this card to just be right once as far as betting individual races and be right once and make money.
Yeah.
And I think those are the kind of cards you want because you don't want to have to be that smart that often.
Yeah. I think the 2 most interesting horses for me that are running this day, Francesco Clemente, is that how you say it?
Yeah,
and
I think.
And then
is he related to Roberto?
Could be.
Ask Peter.
Distant cousin. And then Perfect Munnings, if he can come anywhere close to what he did last time out. But that 8th race, to me, I love that race.
No, they're really fun races because the thing about them is there's cases to be made for lots of horses in these races. And, man, Francesco Clemente, I'm going to guess he's probably more in the art world, Francesco Clemente, since Peter Brano's the horse, but we'll look him up on.
And at least, his really good performance came on a firm turf.
Yeah, man, watch that. Go watch.
I'm going to let him beat me.
If people want to watch Francesco Clemente's race at Goodwood, because obviously you don't want to watch the race at Ascot where he didn't run at all. And keep in mind, Bolshoi Ballet was second there, and he came back and he won our Sword Dancer. You watch his last race. It was the first race on May 27th at Goodwood, and if you're playing through NYRA Bets, which you should be, you can watch those replays. So you want to watch that, Greg. It's the first race on May 27th at Goodwood, and you'll see him because he's in the Brant Silks. I think he's the number 3, but he breaks from the 5 post, which might be on the inside. Everything confused me over there, but you'll see him because he'll get left, 5 versus field, and you'll see him. He'll bolt top of the stretch. Anyway, Greg, lots of fun. Are you
Early.
Yeah. Okay. You and I are on early together, so
1 to
we'll be
4.
upstairs in a few minutes. You need to head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We have the middle pick 4, races 2, 3, and 6 for the pick 4s today. That pick 6 carryover in a super, super fun sequence. 86,514, a very healthy one-day carryover. Who knows? It's gonna pay today. I'll tell you what. I will put the over-under, which includes nobody hitting it, at 20,000 today. I don't see this thing paying. There's too many potholes in today's pick 6. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
You don't really have a big argument with that, right?
No, I just said I thought it would carry.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is tough. And America's Day at the Races. 1 to 7, including a little brown jug action.
Yeah, I'll be covering harness tomorrow night as well.
8 to 11.
Yes, late one.
Really? All right. You know what? I think that means you have to drive. Because I
plan on it.
I don't think the subways, I think they're going to already be in the working, the Euclid
Oh,
Avenue
fantastic.
thing for tomorrow.
That's
just to make it a little
thank
more
you.
fun. Yeah, if you're taking the subway out here on the weekends and you come out through the foreseeable future, at least through October 22nd, there are buses involved. In your
Saturdays
trip.
and Sundays only.
Saturdays and Sundays only. There's no service by train after Euclid. There is bus service we've taken. It takes about 20 minutes or so to get here on the bus.
It's not too bad.
It's not terrible. But you do have to take the bus. And I think next weekend, there's no service from J Street to Utica. If you come from Manhattan, you can circumvent that on the L, which goes to Broadway Junction. But anyway, a lot of fun. Good card. Good show. Thanks, Greg.
Good luck,
and,
everyone.
Greg and I will be on Fox Sports 2 in just a few moments. Have a good day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.